And that means we are live. Hi, Andrew Mason.
Hi, Cecil, Lammey. How are you?
I'm feeling a Saturday in the Mile High City.
I'm feeling it Saturday. There's a lot going on. You know, we have Randy Gradishar getting the Hall of Fame. We'd be remiss not to mention that. He unveiled his bust today in Canton, Ohio, along with Tom Jackson. Also, much to the delight of Broncos fans, throwback jerseys went on sale today, and there were plenty of people who went to the team store at training camp, bought them, and then immediately put them on to show off.
Yes, definitely showing off.
I know you're not a uniform person, but I am very, very curious, Cease, to see over the next couple of years as we look around at practices, as we look around at Broncos games, just what percentage of the fans wear the new uniforms and what percentage of the new jerseys and what percentage of the fans wear the throwback jerseys that now you can get for any active player and plenty of retired players because they are a part of the Broncos' current uniform set. So that just makes them more widely available. I have a feeling that the people are going to make their choice and the market's going to dictate this over the next few years.
And the front office, the people upstairs will be listening. I have 80 jerseys, though, Mace.
80?
I wouldn't say I'm not a jersey guy. I'm just kind of a retired jersey guy. I used to wear them all the time. And now when you get a certain age, you're just like, eh.
I've got mostly baseball jerseys. I've got, let's see.
Not a surprise.
Yeah, I've got Hank Aaron, Phil Necro, Terry Pendleton, couple of Chipper Jones jerseys, a Freddie Freeman jersey, a Ronald Acuna Jr. jersey, and an Ozzie Albies jersey. So I've got a couple of current guys for the Atlanta Braves. And Freddie Freeman's still a player in Major League Baseball, but now he's with the Dodgers, so screw him.
I like oddball jerseys, so I will have like a Ricky Waters Seahawks jersey. I have a Barry Foster Panthers jersey.
Ooh.
Very rare pull.
The person who would appreciate that would be Brandon Cristal of KOA. His
BK is very special.
Yes. His long-standing proposal has been to have a sports bar where it's decorated with jerseys just like that. Players that went elsewhere for the end of their career. So like Jerry Rice Broncos jersey, for example, would be on display. Emmitt Smith Arizona Cardinals jersey. Joe Namath Los Angeles Rams. You kind of get the idea.
Yeah.
I would have said Joe Flacco Broncos, but it turned out he had a couple of more acts left in him that nobody realized.
And he may play because Anthony Richardson has no regard for his personal safety.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about Bo Nix, though. And Mace, today was a very special practice, almost a scrimmage. We've got Coach talking about practice. We can play that clip.
Did you say very special practice, like a very special episode of like Different Strokes or something 40 years ago?
Yes. This is your
So what did we learn?
Special.
So what did we learn today? Because the whole thing of a very special episode was you're supposed to learn something. What did we learn from this very special episode of Broncos training camp?
Bo Nix is separating himself.
Yeah, I think
it's beginning. It's beginning. It's not a huge lead yet, Mace, but I think today is the day that marks Bo Nix leaving Jarrett Stidham behind.
And don't get me wrong, it wasn't like there was this eureka moment today for Bo Nix.
Sure.
And maybe he's just the type of quarterback where it's not going to be, wow, he sees the job on one moment. With Bo Nix, if you're making a baseball illusion, he's not a guy who's going to be a 50 homer guy. He's not the power stroke. He's the guy who gets on base. He's hitting for average. He's taking his walks. And it's effective in a different way. It's kind of Bo Nix, when he kills a team, it's going to be death by paper cuts, by good decisions, short to intermediate. He'll put enough zip on the ball to get it within those tight windows, short to intermediate. And we did see some of that today. And just overall in the aggregate, you look up and maybe you're like, oh, Bo Nix didn't make a huge play, but then you look down, oh, wait, he's like 22 of 30 for 310 yards. He got some good yardage after the catch from some guys. 22 of 30 for 310 yards. Like, man, he just kind of diced us up. I think that's sort of what we're seeing in this quarterback competition. There isn't like the one moment. There isn't the one moment where you say, wow, he's the guy. It's just the accumulation of all the good decisions. And also we hear it from players as well, like what he's doing pre-snap, what he's what he's doing to manipulate safeties and coverage and all that. He's doing some things at a pretty advanced level.
Yeah, he is. And this is no shade whatsoever at Jarrett Stidham, but Mace, we're seeing the same Stidham. We're seeing Bo Nix elevate and get better every day.
Yeah.
And Stidham's real steady, but it's every day the same thing.
He looks like a career backup. And I know that sounds like a pejorative, but it's not.
No.
Jarrett Stidham might play 15 years. He could have a Chase Daniel-like career. I mean, I know we talk about you get Zach Wilson around, you see where he is in a year, and I think that's certainly very much in play. But it could be you keep Zach Wilson around, you let him go on that parallel track, but at the end of the season, you decide, maybe the best backup for Bo Nix is Stiddy.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who, at this point, knows the system.
Knows it, runs it well. I think the largest difference for me, Mace, in talking about these two quarterbacks is Nix will manipulate things, and Stidham, not necessarily robotically. Again, I don't want to make it sound bad, but he's just like, I'm looking here, now I'm looking here to fire, and he bird dogs too many receivers. Whereas Bo will already be moving his feet while he's holding you, and then he turns and fires, and it's there. And Stidham doesn't do that.
Yeah, it was. It sort of explains why Jarrett Stidham has not really advanced as far as some people thought he would in his career. Sure. And again, like Jarrett Stidham's only had 4 starts. He hasn't really had a chance. Well, New England would have really, truly loved it if Jarrett Stidham had done enough in 2020 leading up to the season to hand him the keys. But there wasn't enough there, and so they gave the keys to Cam Newton, who, as we saw that year, physically had so little left that he was an empty husk of the dynamic player that he'd been really as soon as just 3 years earlier. That was all Jarrett Stidham had to beat out to get probably what would have been a full year of a look as a starter, and he didn't. And then when he briefly went out there, remember in that Kansas City game, it was one of those games that got moved around the schedule because of COVID and all that, and he looked awful then. So,
yeah.
Now that being said, I think he's a better quarterback now than he was then, but you'd say he's limited. Whereas I think Bo Nix, we're seeing the progress now. Maybe not again. It's kind of incremental day to day. But then you sit here at the end of the week, and we said this is going to be kind of on the aggregate. At the end of the week, we've got now 6 days of really kind of full tilt work, and Bo Nix looks like the best quarterback on the roster to me.
Yeah. And would Sean Payton have a different answer to my question on Jarrett Stidham now, Mace? Because it's all about what does Sean think. And the question at the owners' meetings was, when have you seen enough of a guy to say that's just who he is?
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what you're saying, Mace, in my opinion. Compared to you're going to give him more time because you haven't seen it. And his quote was, "We're not there yet." Are we there yet?
Ooh.
Are we there yet?
If we're there, I don't think he'd say it.
Okay.
I don't know if you're going to get the answer on that until after the season. That might be one, depending on how the season goes. And let's say Bo Nix is the week 1 starter, but maybe he gets hurt, and that's possible. I mean, we did see protection get blown up a couple of times today.
Yeah.
The right side of the line had some issues, although there was a moment where I know they were expecting a little support from the tight end, Lucas Kroll in particular, and it wasn't there. And McGlinchey looked like he was really tearing into Kroll there on the sideline after
got in his kitchen.
Yeah, it was after the 2-point conversion, I believe. So,
David asks, is Nix really manipulating the safeties? Yeah, PJ Locke talked about it. We played that clip on the show. Thursday or something like that.
Yeah, he says like kind of gaming him a little bit.
Yeah.
Why don't actually, speaking of comments on Bo Nix, let's roll what Jaquan McMillan said, because you asked J-Mac about what he's seeing out of Bo Nix so far.
What do you think of Bo Nix so far?
I think all them guys doing a good job, but Bo, you just seeing him getting better each and every day. It was one practice where he saw that we was blitzing and he checked out of it and was able to get the offense right and make a good play, make a good pass on the out route. So just seeing him getting better each and every day is a good thing to see.
Okay, like first of all, it's like, well, they kind of gave the boilerplate thing about all the quarterbacks, and then he got into Bo Nix and he said something specific, and that's something that's interesting. Most of the guys, when asked about Bo Nix, have said something specific about what he's doing.
Yes.
It's not, they're working hard, all that. And it's not Von Miller who, loved everything that was in front of him. Like,
he praised Paxton.
Von, bless him, man, but Von was it was the biggest prisoner of the moment, and also he's a pleaser. And he was going to say the thing that was going to be all, sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows and balloons, even if it wasn't actually true. It was Vaughn who made the infamous comment where he compared Trevor Siemian to Peyton Manning. Although Sean Payton did make a Drew Brees comparison on Bo Nix today.
He did. I caught that.
We have that. Did I sent you that, right?
You sent it on Saturday's practice and Nix under pressure. You want to play the Nix under pressure one?
Play that one. That's it right there. Nix under pressure.
Go.
I like it. I'm for it. I think it's a trait that when we watched, you see pretty good pocket sense. Doesn't take a lot of sacks. I think he knows when the play's over, time to go. And then I think he can make plays when he's going. So I used to say this all the time, that the sack numbers are a reflection more on the quarterback than the offensive line. And there are some, Brees was one of those guys. He was a tough sack. Ball came out, and I think Bo has traits like that.
And the thing that rankled Sean Payton the most last year about Russell Wilson was the sacks that he took and the sacks for which he was responsible. And that wasn't just Sean Payton talking. That was, for example, Pro Football Focus talking in terms of the percentage of sacks that were on the quarterback last year. And so hearing that, see, it's one thing when you're talking about the player coming in saying, there are these traits that are like Drew Brees, but now he's actually saying that, having seen him run an NFL offense.
Yeah.
All roads lead to Bo Nix, and I think the roads are going to get the Broncos there pretty quickly. I think Bo Nix is the week 1 starter.
Giving me chills right here, Mace. You didn't tell me you were going to say that.
I've been thinking long and hard about whether I want to kind of put it out there. Hey, I'm not saying I won't be potentially wrong. I'm just making a prediction here. And yes, there is the whole logic of, you start Stidham, so if things aren't going well, you've got an eject button you can pull. But I think the burn the boats approach here is the best one.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to start life with a quarterback, you should want to start that life as soon as possible, especially when they show they're ready.
Did you just go ahead and Harry Met
they're the
Sally
best
on
quarterback.
me?
Here, this is the other thing. he has over the last week, the aggregate of the play, Bo Nix has been the best quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And certainly when you're talking about, he's making the changes at the line of scrimmage pre-snap when he identifies something in coverage. He's manipulating the safeties. He's going through his progressions quickly, and he's very mature and composed in the huddle by multiple accounts. He's checking off all the boxes here. I think you just roll with it. It's the longtime University of Florida athletic director Jeremy Foley said, what will be done eventually should be done immediately. I think Bo Nix should start week 1.
I like it. I like that you went Harry Met Sally on me. You're gonna do Surrey with the fringe on top next?
In front of Ira. Sorry. I love that.
That's
one of the best tantrum. That's a very good film tantrum.
Yes.
When Billy Crystal loses it about 5 minutes later.
Right.
Ira being the guy that his ex-wife is now dating.
Right. I gotta watch that. I haven't seen it in a minute. It's awesome. It's incredible.
There's, before we move on, to kind of do a sports scene thing on it. One of the I think the bits of genius of that movie is the way they have Billy Crystal's character and Bruno Kirby's character are talking about his failed marriage. They're at a Giants game.
Yes.
And they're just going on, and they stand up every 30 seconds. They do the wave. They sit back down, and that scene sort of resembles how, at least in my experience with some of my friends, I talk about relationships and issues and all that. I think there's a lot of kind of truth in that scene, including standing up, doing the wave every 30 seconds and sitting back down like that.
Right.
That was kind of that was nailed. That was and actually, of course, because I'm a nerd, I went back and kind of looked it up. It was a Giants Lions game that they use in that.
Only you and the movie producers would know.
But there's a little thing. They did a little NFL Films did a little trickery there. It's a Giants Lions game, but when they show the crowd doing the wave, it's not Giant Stadium. It's what was then known as Rich Stadium, Ralph Wilson Stadium, whatever sponsor they put on it today in Orchard Park, New York. So when they see the wave going around, it's a Bills game. The footage on the field is a Giants game.
Okay.
Yes.
Moving on. Ethan asks, how does Bo compare to other rookie quarterbacks around the league? I'll say this. I said it last night on Denver Sports Tonight. He's ahead of other rookies that you and I have seen through Broncos camp. Other rookies are, different systems, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, whatever. And now Ben Volen reported today and been one of the more trusted voices. He's like, Milton looks better than May. And it's super early.
That's the second report I've seen from out of Foxborough that has Milton playing better than Drake May.
Yeah, and it's super early for all these guys, right? Penix is dealing.
Mm-hmm.
There's been some highlights of Penix. McCarthy's not. McCarthy's really struggling.
But does that not just go hand in hand with
exactly
what we were saying months ago, that it's the long game with JJ? If the Broncos had drafted JJ McCarthy, I think we'd be sitting here doing a show saying Jarrett Stidham's the starter week 1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we might have been saying that almost from day one.
Yes. But definitely saying it like today after this practice, which, as Sean Payton explained, it's different than most practices. Not a scrimmage, but close to it.
Yeah, here's what Coach had to say about today's scrimmage.
It used to be a scrimmage weekend, and I feel like we got a lot of the things that we used to get when we had a scrimmage. It would be hard for me. Look, anytime you have a drill like that or a practice like that, there's a lot of good on both sides of the ball. A lot of things to clean up, and we kind of will be able to do that, get the coaches off the field. I thought they handled it well. No scuffles or anything. Everything was about mental focus from this morning that they got up to coming out here like it was a game.
There was almost a scuffle, Mace, because Thomas and Coombe they were holding him back to go after Audric Estime when Estime ran him over. And Coombe was not happy.
Yeah. It was an eventful day for Thomas and Coombe. I mean,
yes,
there were moments today where he was the most effective defensive player on the field. And I'd say if you had a defensive MVP from today's practice, it was Thomas and Coombe.
Yes.
One play that was clearly a sack, another that might have been a sack, and also, a TFL.
Strip sack fumble.
Yeah, and this is when I asked Sean Payton about
that was your step question, wasn't it?
About at what point do you start kind of expanding their plate when they make big plays? I just was asking it in general because we see it every year.
I wondered what
Thomas and Coombe is when I was the player I had in mind asking that question was Thomas and Coombe, because every day we're seeing it. And that's why I don't want to overreact to he made a play today. Good for him. Thomas and Coombe is having impactful pressures or sacks every day of practice. Every day. And so at what point do you say, okay, it's time to maybe see if we can branch him out a little bit. Now, the interesting thing, we didn't see Nick Bonito again. And now, these back issues are starting to linger here. You hope it's not a problem long-term for Bonito. But if he's got back problems, is it possible that Incoom maybe starts getting some of those sub-package pass rush specialist type of downs? He may effectively be the contingency plan if you can't get Bonito healthy. Again, when you hear about, there are things that you hear about, like injuries, you're like, oh man, that could be tricky. Hamstrings. Levi Wallace now joining Brandon Jones in the hamstring brigade.
Yes.
Those can be tricky. You want to be cautious with them. Back issues, your back spasms, whatever. Those are tricky as well. And that may give Incoom an opportunity to work his way into some more snaps and some more opportunities than people realize. And by the way, don't forget the Broncos, kind of like with JL Skinner, who also had a big play today. The Broncos were intentional with them, keeping them on the 53, even though they weren't playing them. Saying we're going to manipulate the roster, manipulate the practice squad, use practice squad elevations for a bunch of other guys, but we don't want to let Skinner or Incoom out of our building. And today you had moments where you saw why they didn't want to let them out of the building.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. It's almost like an added rookie class. We can say that about Riley Moss as well. JL Skinner making plays. Thomas and Coombe, quietly one of the best camps hardly anybody other than you and I are talking about. I did hear Zach By bringing them up yesterday on the drive, so thank you for that, my man Bird. But they have a inflated rookie class because they have the rookies, but then they have the guys who are kind of rookies because they didn't play much last year.
Yeah. It would have been Drew Sanders as well, potentially, if he hadn't torn his Achilles back in April. But you see, Drew's been out there every day. Drew will be interesting because he stands to enter the season at the point where maybe you start losing some guys to injuries and you start having some wear and tear building up, and he could bring some fresh legs. And as we've seen with guys coming off just Achilles injuries, especially young players, they can be back up to speed pretty quickly now. The thing with Tim Patrick is that it was the Achilles on top of the ACL, and he was also not at the beginning of his career. So that's, it's different things there. But yeah, you speak of Riley Moss. I think we were including Marvin Mims Jr. in that for a while, but and Mims did have a couple of nice moments today. But Mims it's not been a great camp for Marvin Mims Jr. And then on Friday he was, John Morton's kind of target. John Morton's the pass game coordinator on the offensive side. Seems like he is like the bad cop who's picking at one player a day. It's been Troy Franklin a lot of days, but on Friday it was Marvin Mims Jr.
Ooh, let him have it.
Yeah, and breaking him down, and you hope building him back up here. It was a better day for Marvin Mims Jr., which is good because we just haven't seen it. We've seen it with Courtland Sutton, we've seen it with Josh Reynolds. We didn't really see it with Marvin until today.
Yeah. We did see Bo Nix in the red zone today, Mace. I'm thinking of the Sutton touchdown specifically, where play kind of breaks down. Nix extends it. He had run previously, but on this time he extended it, and Sutton came back to the ball. He threw it like low. It was like a baseball slider, right, Mace?
Yeah.
And Sutton slid
down and got it.
And it was either going to be in the dirt, incomplete, or it was going to be touchdown Broncos. And we know it was 6 points.
Yeah. One of the exciting things about Courtland Sutton this summer is that you've got a completely different kind of thing they're asking of him than was asked of him last year.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he's effective at it. And we see him making plays like against Surtain, for example, although not today. They gave Surtain a rest day. Defensively, they gave Zach Allen a day. They gave Pat Surtain a day. So Zach Allen hasn't practiced last couple of days. And then, of course, you had Levi Wallace not out there. So you were seeing a lot of Riley Moss. You were seeing a lot of Damari Mathis today, working up with the ones. And I thought Moss held his own. It wasn't a good day for Damari Mathis.
Yeah, it's confidence. He's got to have his confidence back. We actually do have an old clip from Nix on the red zone. Let's go ahead and play this. This wasn't from today, Mace, but it explains what Nix is doing in the red zone.
Every year since high school, I've been in a competition, but I think when you look at, the red zone and being, what's the risk versus what's the reward, and thanks, Alex. And a lot of the times you go per play, and, sometimes, down and distance means a lot, and coverage dictates a lot, but it's all about being confident, and sometimes you do take a risk, and sometimes it doesn't work out for you, but those you minimize and you learn from. But at the same time, you don't want to be a gun-shy quarterback. So no matter what, just have great confidence in the plays and the players, and go out there and execute it. And if it's not there, then check it down. But it's also about experience, and you see looks that you like, and then you get to come back to. But sometimes it's not a good look. You just check it down, go to the next play.
If it's not there, check it down. The other thing I think he could have thrown in there, if it's not there, take off and run.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And run judiciously. Get to the sideline. Get to a point where you can slide. Because the more you watch Bo Nix, the more you're like, protect this guy. The thing is, as the type of runner he is, I don't think you'll worry too much about that. He is not a run to contact guy. He's a run away from contact guy. Like that's all the quarterbacks this year in this draft class. They're not, there's not a Cam Newton here.
Well, Jaden kind of runs like that, unfortunately. And he's small.
That's the thing. I think he's going to be cured of that pretty quick.
Or injured, unfortunately.
But he can't run through people.
No.
Yeah. So here we are.
Here we are, Mace, on a Saturday. Yeah.
It's a Saturday. We are 1 plus weekend. And maybe I'm speaking too soon, but I've just been I was looking through my notebook, and I was just taking stock of the last few days and what we've seen, thinking about today. And I would say if they were equal, you go with Bo Nix, but I think we're seeing Nix do some things that are pulling him ahead a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you would anticipate that as we get further along, the distance will grow. Again, not like super big. Oh my God, Bo's totally the guy. But like every day he's just doing more. And every day he does a little more. And he doesn't make the same mistake twice. Somebody in our chat room asked how many picks has he had. He's had one.
One. It hasn't been the case Keenum camp, but there haven't been many picks so far.
Right.
Overall.
Right.
Does that concern you for the DBs though? For the defense?
Well,
because this defense has to get takeaways.
Yeah. Well, I had a chance to talk to Riley Moss, and he wants to get his hands on the ball more, like interceptions, not just pass breakups.
Yes.
Because I asked him about Levi Wallace and himself in that competition. So yeah, I think. Oh my God, why is my brain not working? Who was the Washington dude that they picked up at corner? I think it was the COVID year because we were all masks up at the press conference. And he just never. He's from Florida State, and he never got. In college, he didn't get picks. He was just a PBU guy, and the Broncos picked him up, and then he was still just a PBU guy. It was like 2020, and he was set to be their starter. Why is my brain not working, Mace? I guess I'm already in Saturday mode.
Are you thinking I'm actually cheating. I'm going to look at the roster because I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He got hurt he got hurt very quickly.
Yes.
Didn't he?
Yeah, never really played, the way that they wanted him to. And when he did, he was still just a PBU guy. Some guys are like that.
Boye?
No, it wasn't Boye. It was the other guy. Crap. Anyway.
Well, the other guy that year, like they had Bryce Callahan in the slot. They had Michael Ojemudia out of Iowa starting some games that year. They had Devontae Bosby, who they brought in from the Alliance of American Football.
Yeah, because Boye came from the Jags. This dude came from Washington. So maybe the chat room can help me out with it since my brain's not working.
Are you sure it was the COVID year? Are you sure it was 2020?
I remember us being masked up and all that.
Well, then it would have been 2021 because we wouldn't have been at a press conference in 2020 because it was all Zoom that year.
Zoomy zoom. And a boom boom.
I mean, so yeah, you go to 2021, and that year it was Kyle Fuller who struggled mightily. I remember with Kyle Fuller, he had that bad game in Pittsburgh, and they're like, "Yeah, you're meeting the media."
Yeah, it was Darby. It was Darby.
Ronald Darby.
Tom got it in the chat. Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
So came over in free agency. Yes.
Yep.
And he was with Philadelphia for a while.
Yep.
Absolutely remarkable. But yeah, like I can't believe I blanked on that. But like a guy who could not get picks. It was incredible. Like Ronald Darby, and he played all 16 games for Baltimore last year. Ronald Darby has played 16, 32. He's played 48 games in the last 4 seasons, and he doesn't have a pick. And he started 39 of them, so it's not like he's rarely playing.
That sounds about right.
That's hard. The thing, okay, because now that you spur my memory here, I remember 2 training camps ago. The Nathaniel Hackett training lamp. Sean Payton has the Compete Street sign up, and as Troy Rink would say, Nathaniel Hackett's camp was Sesame Street.
He loves that line.
But yeah, he used it again today.
He did.
That's why it's in my head. And with Darby, every day he was working on the jugs machine. And he mentioned it, like, I'm just trying to get, I know I got to get some picks, man. Never happened. Ronald, God. That would actually be wild to look at for cornerbacks. Longest streak of, like, how many games, like, most games start over, like, a 3 or 4 year stretch without a pick.
With no picks. Yeah. It's difficult. That's for sure.
He's with Jacksonville now, by the way. Still in the league.
Hey, good. He was good to talk to. Because remember, I asked him at that presser, Mace. I was like, how do you get more interceptions? He's like, just catch the ball. Okay.
2021 offseason, it was Kyle Fuller, free agent, Ronald Darby,
Mhm.
free agent, Pat Surtain, drafted.
Yep.
Well, we'll paraphrase Meatloaf here. Obviously not the exact quote, but 1 out of 3 ain't bad. Maybe we can take all night, but that ain't getting us nowhere.
We're praying to the end of time.
That's a different song. That's Paradise by the Dashboard Light. With the Phil Rizzuto interlude. Holy cow, stolen base.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right.
I think your hair is getting all the compliments today, by the way. I don't know.
I thought that was your hair. I don't know.
I mean, that's what that. Look at the victory laps comment. That's that long hair, don't care Saturday hair. Oh my gosh. There's a lot of
Snarky said, "Look at that hair."
What?
Yeah, Snarky said, "Look at that hair." So I thought, I was like, "Is that your hair or my hair?"
I think they're talking about your hair today, my friend, not mine.
By the way, do you know one of my favorite jerseys? And I don't wear them anymore, so I probably should just sell them on eBay. Is Eric Rhett, Tampa Bay,
orange
creamsicle.
Okay,
I love it, dude. I love it.
The thing that I wish would happen in week 3 that can't happen because of the NFL's silly, stupid rules on third helmets, alternate helmets. What I wish is that the NFL, because the Bucs will wear white at home in all likelihood, that the NFL would let the Broncos wear a white helmet, orange jersey, white pants into Tampa. Just to have a visual that screws with everybody.
Yes. Yeah.
Of another team basically doing the Bucs white, orange, white, although different shade of orange because the Bucs orange is what they call Florida orange. It's a lighter shade. The Broncos is more of a burnt type of orange. But that would just totally, mind bleep people if the Broncos walked in where looking more than a little bit like the 1970s, 1980s Bucs, but they won't let them do that. No fun. By the way, I actually can't wait to see the white helmets. I love the white helmets last year. That's like the thing in this uniform that people really haven't said much about. But the problem is like the NFL won't let the Broncos use it right. Like I actually think this uniform would look better. The orange jersey, white pants would look better with a white helmet than with a blue helmet helmet.
That pesky no fun league.
Boo. Boo.
Well, how about a yay for Saturday, Mace? We were going to do another Saturday brain dump, but I was worried my internet would go out. And the fire seems to be somewhat contained. They did open Chatfield Reservoir today to boating and fishing. So hopefully that gets taken care of. And please, people, stop with the fires and the fireworks. And we haven't had rain in a million years. So but we want to do a Saturday show for everybody, Mace. But I think we didn't even really discuss it. We're just like, let's do it Saturday. Give it the night vibes, but do it during the day.
And also, I think sometimes you go 6 days in a row on the field. You go 6 days in a row, in your work days are like 14 hours and things like that. You just gotta know when know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Like Bo Nix said, you gotta know when the play's over. You gotta know when to scramble.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could probably do a little bit of the gambler for Bo Nix. Gotta know when to throw them, know when to run them.
Kenny Rogers Roasters. I'm gonna turn on my Xbox for the first time since training camp started.
What game are you gonna play?
PUBG every day.
Oh,
PUBG. Yeah.
You're not doing.
And I'll play college football.
You're not doing college football, huh?
I'll play college football. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Who are you playing with?
I haven't started a dynasty yet. Obviously, I barely played it before training camp started, but I would probably start a dynasty with I want to do something like easier with a big school like LSU, and then I want to try something like with Army because my son's in the Army.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll try something harder when I get more used to it.
Somebody posted like a clip like Cam Newton was playing college football, and he made a play, and then the person he was playing against, you could overhear, and he said like something extremely vile and racist.
Okay.
And then disconnected the game, like just total total snowflake sore loser type of thing.
Okay. All right.
Oh my gosh. It brings out, there's been the worst of a lot of people brought out recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
In a lot of ways.
that's for sure. That's for sure. So that's for our other show, Mace.
That's for another show. Mike, thank you for the kind words. Yes, thank you for spending your time with us as well here on this Saturday afternoon. I mean, it's, I wish there was some rain in the sky, but here it's a Colorado blue sky here. It'll probably be a lovely night. Sit back, enjoy, have a cold pop or two, and just take it all in.
Well, when you crack one open, brother, I'll be toasting to you with my Gatorade Zero.
I still got some iced tea in here.
Okay. Well, a toast to you, brother. A toast to our audience.
Toast to you, and thank you for joining us as always. This is, I mean this when I say, when it comes to like my work day, this is my favorite part of the work day, is hanging out with all of you. So thanks for rolling with us.
All right. And thanks for helping us out on YouTube, Mace. How do they do that?
Like,
comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell
so that you
never miss a vid. Use the pen today.
That's right.
The pen,
Andrew Mason.
The pen is mightier than the sword.
That it is.
But make sure you say pen is and not
pen
what
is.
From the SNL Jeopardy sketch back in the day. Sean Connery.
That's right, Trebek.
If you know what if you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Oh.
And there we go. That's a wrap for today's show. OBT's BFD. Follow Mace on all the socials at Mace Denver. Thanks, everybody. Keep staying frosty.